Well.
Welcome
We
back.
have here another episode of the best podcast and all of the DMV, number one podcast. Okay. Welcome to Cultivating Conversations with DP Squared. I am your host, Deja, along with my amazing co host.
Andre, we are in the building today.
We are, and glad to be back. Glad
Definitely.
to discuss another important topic. But before we get into it, how have you been, DeAndre?
Been good, man. It's like school coming to an end, the days get brighter.
Yes, that's
the,
always a
yes,
plus.
the
Like
weather
seriously.
gets warmer. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
you start seeing fairies fly around. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm
What they
feeling
say?
good though.
Here's
Huh?
a fairy.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's a
I'm feeling
fairy.
good though for sure.
That's
Overall,
good.
definitely been having a good few weeks, especially after last week. Last
Mm-hmm.
podcast, this week has been very good.
Mm-hmm.
Mental has been positive. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy to be back today to discuss something very important. Hopefully everybody can be intertwined today in the conversation, learn,
Yes.
have fun. But how have you been, TTM?
I've I've been good. Hey, Auntie Dana. I've been good. Yeah, I definitely think the weather always helps. I swear.
Hmm.
Fresh retwist always helps too, might I
Yeah,
add.
talk
Thank
about
you
it.
very much. Huh?
I said talk about it. You pick up
Yeah.
any new hobbies?
Any new hobbies? No.
Anything you've improved on since last week?
Mm, I don't know.
You know?
I probably have, but I can't think of anything right at this moment.
Yeah, I don't
But
think
I
I
do
can.
I do feel like I've been much more disciplined lately, which is good.
Nice.
Just sticking to the things that I say I want to do throughout the day. So
Yeah, it's
that's
really
been
good.
good. Oh, one thing I did want to start doing was spending time more with my friends. So I did go to a
Mhm.
game night over the weekend. That was nice. So
That's
just trying
nice,
to be
man.
more intentional with seeing people and hanging out and not just letting the years go by and not hanging out
That's
with people.
fire.
Yeah,
That's
so that
good.
was good. Mhm.
Somebody drop in the chat one thing you improved on this week, or just give a rating on your how your week was. So one thing,
Yes.
of course, since the last time we've been. I don't think I improved on anything necessarily since
Mhm.
last week. I just been super focused on finishing up this work strong. So,
Mhm.
but I've been in good spirits for sure. So,
That's good. We love to hear it and see it. Yes, but today's podcast is titled Another Day, Another Dollar.
hmm
Okay.
hmm
Which I think that's before DeAndre's time, but
stop.
but no, we really wanted to talk a little bit about like finances, money management, or just the overall conversation about trying to like do better financially in this world because especially in these times. But when we were thinking about it, it was more so trying to frame it around the fact that there are a lot of reasons why people might not feel as comfortable
Yeah.
exploring like their financial literacy or doing better when it comes to those type of aspects in life. And so I
Mhm.
started thinking about my own self and trying to think, okay, when did I first learn some useful, let's
Uh-huh.
emphasize useful information when it came to just money management or just trying to not just work to live, or
Yeah.
I'm trying to say like or you're just working just to survive the day type of vibe.
Yes. Yes.
But I feel that I didn't get any useful advice until probably high school when I first got my first like credit card and debit card, I think.
Mhm.
And I know my dad or our dad, well, he's my
My
dad for
bad.
sure. I don't know if he's your other but just telling me little small tips about just so I can make sure that I knew how to use it and didn't go over my limit and paying it
Yeah.
off when I use this stuff, the small stuff. But that was probably my first time really knowing things about it. So I wanted to ask you that when do you feel that you first got some useful financial information, if
Yeah.
any?
Definitely high school. I think in high school I took one class that had to deal with finance and financial literacy, and
Hmm,
it was a mandated class when I had went to Wakefield. So it wasn't
hmm,
in DC. I think there was an optional financial literacy class that you didn't have to take, but you could.
mm-hmm.
So it kind of I was never really familiar. Even to this day, I'm not really super familiar with
Yeah.
financial literacy, and especially in school, you're not
Mm,
at a point in your life, you're learning about it, yes, but you're not at a point in your life to use those lessons in a real world space. So it's kind of
yeah.
just like information given, but then it's for me at the time, it's just I'm just doing the work just to pass. I'm not really using this or using these
That
notes,
makes sense.
what I'm saying, for the future. So
Yeah.
um I'm not really too, in tune with financial literacy, and I think that this conversation we're about to have will be, and I hope people in the chat who are older, or going through something like this can help us with some advice. And I wanted to bring up a quick conspiracy question for you. Okay.
Oh, okay.
We both said we
Conspiracy.
really didn't know financial literacy until we got to high school, right? We can both agree,
Yeah.
and still not super versed in it, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, based on the National Center for Education Statistics,
Uh-huh.
overall college enrollment rates from ages 18 to 24, that's who's majority in school,
Mm-hmm.
39%, Black and Hispanics being on the lower side in comparison to Asian and whites. So the
Okay.
question I want to ask you after hearing that information, do you think curriculum purposefully lacks financial classes because a lot of people, majority don't get enrolled into college after high school? What do you think? 18 to 24. 18
Oh,
to
you
20.
mean it not purposely not being in our high school education?
Yes, because they know, majority may not go
Yeah.
take that next step into college, meaning they won't be
Hmm.
financially literate. What do you think about that?
That is an interesting conspiracy type of
Yeah,
like
yeah,
idea. I don't maybe honestly because in
yeah.
my mind it's like why not have it?
Why not,
There's
right?
really no reason why not to have it
Hmm.
because you can
Because
just
you
add
think,
it on as a math or add it
yeah,
on as just a
yeah,
class that people have to take. So I do wonder what's the reason why it's just not implemented off
yeah,
rip.
yeah. I
So
don't need
I
nobody looking for me, but I was just thinking about that.
yeah,
It's
that's interesting. Honestly,
yeah,
mother said I wish Apple Cash was never invented.
I'm dead. That's another thing. A lot of it's another word for it, but a lot of older individuals have a hard time getting up with the times.
Mm,
That puts them as a setback too. So I mean,
hmm.
that's a good point as well.
Yeah, no, seriously. I know last year I had took a speaking to your point, last year in grad school I took a finance class and that was the first time where I was like, "Oh, I need to get on my stuff. I
Mm,
need to get on my stuff," because the way even some of the guys, like one of the guest speakers, he also was just like, "I'm teaching my kids now at 8, 9 years old about stuff compounding and this and
that's
that. Just
crazy.
be different numbers about stuff that I never knew about until this last semester and right now. And
Hmm.
I'm 27, so it's you shouldn't there shouldn't be like a barrier to entry to learn about these type of things,
Yeah,
because we all experience this. So to only allow certain people to know it is a problem. But
yeah,
I feel, which we'll get to later, we want to make sure that we're not making ourselves the victim in these situations.
true. And
But
especially you highlight some of the overall disparities that go on in America. You are kind of
mhm,
brought up. It says that 57% of people believe that they live paycheck to paycheck. Everybody has
mm,
their own definition of what paycheck to paycheck is. So,
mm,
that's a good point that you bring up, is that if almost half of Americans believe that they are spending majority of their paycheck just to survive, then it's like
yeah,
those conversations, like you said, need to happen a lot earlier,
yeah.
which is something we'll, of course, continue to talk about.
Mm-hmm. What do you feel like are some other disparities when it comes to that? And I would love to hear what other people think too. I want to know, like, maybe when people first feel like they got a good grasp
Mhm.
on what it means to manage your money or try to get certain assets in life, whether it's a home or a
Yeah,
loan or writing a check, like the simple stuff.
yeah.
Not
For
the
me,
simple thing, you know what I mean? The stuff that most people should know about.
yeah.
Because,
I
yeah.
think definitely for me is I'm young still, truth be told,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of it definitely has come from, first of all, I've been impressionable,
Mm.
and like after reading up on some of this financial literacy stuff, a lot of times we spend and we do things for other people. I think a lot of people
What do you
realize,
mean?
like you spend and do things, like you see something that someone has and you want to do that, or
Oh, yes.
you want to one up whatever you see, or buy the most
Mm-hmm.
expensive piece of clothing or the best shoes or the best car, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a disparity within myself, and I feel like maybe a lot of people, other people, go through that, is just trying to fit in with the times,
Mhm.
living in the present, not looking for the future, and
Yeah.
that's been a big issue. I think a lot of people have been going through, especially social media era. And
Mhm.
I know I've been that has been something I've dealt with as well. Is just I'm getting money, but
Yeah.
I'm not seeing money as an entity or something that is just a part of life. I'm seeing it like, oh, I did it, I need to spend it on something that I want.
Mhm. Yeah,
That's been
so okay.
Mhm.
So when you first got your first paying job,
Yeah,
what did you do with those paychecks?
man, those were gone in 2 days. And my journey with financial literacy started with blowing money right when I first got it. I had a job in ninth grade. I had a job and my mom actually, she was telling me, no, you need to save half of this. And I was so
Mm-hmm.
mad. And then the other half was gone immediately. But
Mm-hmm.
as time went on, when I started having jobs in college or later down in my career, I was like, okay, I'm gonna save half of this, maybe try
Mm-hmm.
to invest it because I started looking for my future. I thought I don't want to end college starting at zero. That wasn't
Yeah.
my ideal, and I
Yeah.
know now that you're older or whatever. So it's like, how are you in money management? How would you grade yourself?
Like from A to F.
Yeah, A to F. Sure,
I
that's
had
why.
to grade myself on money management in general over the past couple years.
Yeah,
I would say I'm like a strong C plus.
C plus.
I would say because for one, I do good with saving money.
Okay.
Because even if you think back to when I was working at Ben and Jerry's, I would have those wad of
Oh
tips for
yeah.
like at least a year,
True.
over a year. I just always kind of, I wasn't quick to spend my money, but I do know when I started getting older, I would spend money on stuff I probably didn't need to spend it on, but I still was doing pretty good with saving because I know I needed to pay for like grad school, or I needed
Yeah.
to pay my credit card or pay this, pay that. So I was trying to really manage it, but a lot of times my wants came before my needs.
Yeah.
In a lot of situations because I'm like, I'm young, I'm just trying to live my life, da da
Yeah.
da da. But having discipline does allow you to really have the fun life you actually think you're having right now.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
very true. And what would you say to somebody who, like they're trying to save for the future, but the present is just beating them down? Like, what would be your just one thing to say to someone like that?
But it's because that's the reality though. That's
Yeah.
for me to even sit here and act like that isn't reality. I would be that would be just being not reading the room, you know what I'm trying to
Hmm.
say, not being aware of what people are actually going through.
Yeah.
But I just feel like you have to change your which okay, I don't want to say too much because with a lot of like I've learned so much in this past couple of months because of a specific reason, but in general, I
Yeah.
would just say people have to start somewhere. Because how
Yeah.
you were
True.
saying, I think most people think they are living paycheck to paycheck, but if you line up your expenses and there is a
Mhm.
smidgen of stuff left,
Yeah.
that's the part you're supposed to be saving. That's the part
True.
you should be using to invest. That's the part you should be using towards another business, whatever the
That's
case
a
may
good
be.
point. That's a good point.
Yeah. So it
Um,
don't have to be a wad of cash, but right, you just do what you can at the moment.
yeah. And a thing that's been talked around now, especially with the financial, just a lot of people are going through tough times right now. 2025, the average homeowner right now, 2025, is 57 years old.
Oh
Average,
my
like
God.
average home buyer.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to start planning early, and I think
Yeah.
after you overcome the disparities that we talk about, even if it's self, if it's the present beating you up, at some time you have to realize that your future is on the way. You
Yes.
don't want to
Yes.
be 57. That's the first time you're owning a home.
Yeah.
People, the average first child that's being born for women is 27. So think about that.
Ooh,
you
child.
you might be able to own a home when you're 57, but you're having a kid at 27. So it's like have to
30
put
years.
you have to put your priorities in order, because some
Yeah.
people, like you say, you live in a paycheck to paycheck, you already got a kid.
Hmm.
A lot of people are having single family households. It's like, now it's time, how do we figure out now how to be the victim?
Yes.
How do we flip our mindset?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think that's definitely what we have to look toward to.
Yeah. And speaking of, I recently started reading this book called, I actually have it right here. You
Okay.
Deserve to Be Rich. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
And let me be clear. I'm not into those finance for dummies or
Uh-huh.
how let me get rich right now, but like that's not this. I
Yeah.
know I like stuff that's very realistic,
Yeah.
very manageable. The terms aren't just losing me. This is by I don't even know how to pronounce their names fully, but they have a podcast called Earn Your Leisure.
Mm.
And it's so I would recommend people really watch their podcast or listen to their podcast or follow them on Instagram because
Um,
they're two black men who are really trying to change people's mindsets around when it comes to financial freedom.
that's
And they have
fire.
changed my mind around so freaking much. And I wanted to mention some of the stuff that they talked about because
Okay.
it changed the way that I was thinking
All
for
right, drop
sure.
it on us.
So one of the things that they were talking about is that you deserve the life you want.
Mm-hmm.
And that sounds very just girl bye, but it's but it's so true because how you were saying, you have to change the way you think about it first.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel like you're a person who doesn't deserve great things or will never get great things, you won't get them.
True.
So it's like you have to look at money in a sense of your ticket to the life you want, instead of looking at it as something that you don't really want to take enough time to learn more about. You
Yeah.
just want to get through the day-to-days, you know what I'm saying? Because the day-to-day
Yes.
will stop you from really looking at the future because it's just a reality.
Yeah.
But you got to have enough will to learn and do more. You just have to have the will, really. So that was the biggest thing that I learned from that. But the
Mm-hmm.
also thing they talked about is the way that you can um think about investing, whatever. They talked about how you need to increase your income, lower your expenses, and
Yeah.
invest the difference. I said, oh, period.
And
That,
I think that goes past a lot of people because they're thinking a lot of people don't like to not be able to see their money, right? They don't want to put their money
mm,
in a stock or in a bond or in the bank
yes.
and not see, if it's increasing, decreasing, or whatever the case may be, what's going on. But they
Hmm.
like to see their money in hand or physically in their bank account.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are, first of all, they're not taught how to learn about money. That's first of all the issue, like we spoke about prior.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do, but then it's like it's holding us back. As a community, as
Hmm.
Americans, whatever, is holding us back
Hmm.
to our potential. So it's
Yeah.
like you're right. You like people. You always hear what you said. Invest the difference. Cut your expenses, whatever the case.
Hmm.
But it's definitely it leads you to better self. Like one thing I had to learn for myself is self control and self accountability.
Yes.
I
Yes.
cannot
Yes. Yes.
continue to blame. Of course, the position I'm in now, I'm not working a job, but
Hmm.
if I do come to have money like in the past, I would spend it, and I can't complain about my situation now because I'm not taking accountability for my past actions.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
can't be upset in the future because my past self wants to spend the entire paycheck on clothes.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like you have to have self control. That would be my first, not to be a victim tip. And second is have self accountability. Yes,
Hmm.
know that the president is beating you up, but you still can be accountable for your actions.
Yeah, that's very true. And
Yeah.
the thing that I like about the book is that they give great examples of realistic situations. Like they'll go through a story time of a single mother, or they'll
Mm-hmm.
go through a story time of someone who's an entrepreneur, but they're
Showing
having a
that
hard
it's
time.
possible.
Yeah, like trying to teach people that this is not a book about just saying, "Oh
Mhm.
yeah, I want to come out and I want to buy 2 real estate properties and
Yeah, yeah,
everyone live happily ever after." Is that because that's not people's life. So
yeah,
they try to give you real world examples and show you that you could be this person, but still do something. Like you can still be one of those people who can look back and be like, "Dang, I actually feel comfortable with my situation."
yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Instead
And
of
a lot of people, I don't think they believe that they can. Like you say, you have to be a little
yeah,
delusional that you can achieve some of these goals. I
you
feel like
can.
that's the only way to get out of these disparities because. Oh, go ahead.
Now I have a question for you when we
Okay,
finish.
go ahead. I'm done.
I was gonna ask, what do you say to people who just genuinely don't care? What if you're
Mhm.
just a person that's like, I'm not me, I'm saying if I'm the person
Yeah,
that's saying I'm perfectly fine with just getting
paycheck to
by,
paycheck.
like I don't need all this extra stuff. I'm not
Yeah,
really concerned about I'm good where I'm at. I'm not concerned about trying to
yeah,
elevate or
yeah.
I don't want to own a home, like all those like
My
what do you
first question would be, "What's your highest level of education?"
yo stop.
I feel like that would tell me a lot first because
Oh my gosh.
I will call that person an idiot. Now, I do see where some people come from that they're just comfortable in life. I
Yeah.
understand that some people don't have, they're living paycheck to paycheck, but they're not having a bad life. They
Yeah.
don't necessarily want to elevate, but they're not necessarily
They're not
decreasing.
struggling
They're not
struggling.
struggling, right? So
Mhm.
I can't be mad at that. But if you were to say that, I just couldn't agree with you. I'm one of those delusional people that I feel like I want to make the most money I can. And I've been money driven for a long
A
time, but
long time.
for the wrong reasons a lot of the time. So now I want to be money driven for the right reasons.
Right. Yeah.
I want to get money to, buy $100 pair of clothes and shoes. That I don't want that
Mhm.
no more for myself. I want
Yeah.
to be money driven so that, and I think, sorry to be jumping from top of the topic, but a big thing people need in their life is reality checks.
Man, be real with yourself.
But it takes a reality check to save yourself. Like it gets
Yeah.
to a point. I think I'm having one of those in life where I'm about to graduate college and I'm having a reality check.
Mm-hmm.
No more gimmicks.
No more but see, how can people not really prevent, but just like what are things people can do before it even gets to that point? Because yes, reality checks are important, and trust
Yeah,
me, I've had plenty. And
yeah,
so then you wake up and you're like, all right, bet. And it's good because you're still young, but people be having reality checks at 40, 50,
that's
60,
true.
and it's like,
That's true.
stinker, you should have did this
Yeah,
like 20 years
yeah,
ago. So it's
yeah.
just, I always wonder about that, but
For personal to answer that question, if anybody doesn't want to have reality check, it's just self realization. I think that
yeah.
is a form of reality check. But I've had a number of times, when I was 16 or 18
Mm-hmm.
or 20, I've had a number of like, hold up, I need to get myself together. And
Mm-hmm.
a big part of that has been, like you said, seeking out information. If it's been a book, if it's been a person, if it's been using your resources like the internet, which
Yeah.
has everything, is
It really does. But
yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Not just saying you got to really have enough discernment to know who you should be listening to and who you shouldn't be listening to.
Hmm.
That's a whole separate conversation
Yeah,
when it comes to internet stuff, because
yeah,
people
yeah,
just
yeah, for
will
sure.
look up something and be like, okay, yeah, that's right. And this is like, did you do
Yeah,
enough research to see if this person even knows what they're talking about?
yeah.
But
But
yeah.
it's been a lot of self critique, and just I hope people that listening to this, if they are and at a financial standstill, that you have to look within first.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's no improvement without self improvement.
Yeah.
So, outside of money, you have to be changed within before you even can think about that. I think so.
Yeah, I
I don't
agree.
feel like I went through those times of checks, and it's been about some month spans of me feeling like I changed, but then I switched right back into
Mm-hmm.
whole ways of how I'm using my money, utilizing my resources. You get back in those slumps. It's a lot easier to be lazy than to take those extra steps. So
Yep. It
that's why,
is.
yeah,
Do you have any financial goals that you can think of right now? Like just two
yeah.
or one,
I definitely
something.
have a lot of financial goals. I definitely want you said because thing I wanted to bring up as well. It says that 9.1 million Americans are working two jobs, which
Yep.
is the highest since 2004.
Bruh.
So think about that, right? We already talked about having a baby. We already talked about when you could potentially buy a home, and then you
Mm.
can work the highest people working two jobs since 2004.
Mm-hmm.
My financial goals is to first have multiple streams of income. And
Yeah.
we know that that takes a while. I
Mm-hmm.
understand that, but I want to be the last person that's not knowing, if I can eat the next day. This is outside of parents' help. This is just
Yeah.
personally
Right.
eat the next day, or be able to buy the things that will support my life, or
Mm-hmm.
invest in the endeavors that will help me in the future. I don't want
Mm-hmm.
to be a part of that lifestyle where I am not knowing what I'll be able to eat next week. Some people
Yeah.
are going through that, and I want to take the opportunity now at 22
Mm-hmm.
to be able to not have to go through that. Whenever
Yeah.
I'm 32, I don't even want to have to think about that. So you got to take your time now. And for the people that are 32 or people that are 42, you still have time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to cut mine a little bit earlier. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's true too. And sometimes like the how the famous quote goes, you got to do what you have to do what you
Yeah,
want to
true,
do.
true.
So I know because they talk a lot about how in these times just having one source of income just isn't enough
Mhm.
unless you are, doing
Yeah,
really well for yourself.
yeah,
But and also it helps you to not always be so reliant on a company or a business, because
mhm,
we already see, especially in these times, these companies do whatever they want and you won't have a job.
yeah,
So how are there ways where you can try to take ownership or have some freedom in that regard as well, to not always be able to like have to rely
yeah.
on the decisions of this large corporation,
You're
what I'm
right.
saying?
Take your use your own self accountability to further your future endeavors. Not rely
Yeah,
on anybody to handouts. Like you're not getting
right.
nobody giving you no handouts no more.
They're not. And to be fair, I know a lot of times, especially with me, I can get in my own bubble. And I do
Mhm.
understand that everyone doesn't have the opportunity to go to school or get access to certain information. I mean,
Yeah,
sometimes I'm in class and learning from people who work at private equity firms. Like that's not just something that everyone has the ability to do. That's why I
very
wanted to
true.
bring up a book or a podcast, because that's something that anyone could really get that
Yeah.
information. Like there's no more, we don't need to be in this age of gatekeeping anymore when
Mhm.
you just want to be the only person who's doing well for yourself. Like that's just not right. And it's
Yeah,
just
it's not.
that doesn't make sense. I'm not priding myself that I'm the fact that who only is the only person who's able to talk to certain people. Like that's not
Mhm. And
That makes no sense. So
and I don't want people to believe like we're just like relaying information from other people or sources. Like this is
yeah,
real personal experience.
yeah.
When I was trying like those years to get different endeavors, like when cryptocurrency was doing this thing, I learned everything from the internet. You know, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to think people are handicapped, so you have to go to school because me and
Yeah,
Taylor both went to school, or you
right.
have to have this set level of education. You can learn, you can
Mm-hmm.
understand things through, like they just said, books,
Yeah,
internet, other people. So it's like, don't, people love to handicap themselves before even trying.
yeah.
I'm not even doing that, so
Excuses.
I'm not even able to do it. No,
Mm-hmm.
everybody has the opportunity. Like, I didn't think I'd be able to understand certain things about stocks or crypto or whatever the case may be, but I just learned over time, through trial and error.
Yeah.
So it's
And
like
it's a slow build. You're not
it's a
gonna know
slow
everything
build.
in
Yeah,
one day. Yeah.
you're not. So I just think we're talking from experience. Even having different ways to make money, selling clothes, or doing small things. You have the like Deja used to used to sell beat it up bomb magnets. So it's just like there's
Yep,
ways,
yep.
man.
When I was trying to study abroad, I was in here making little beaded magnets to sell
Yeah,
to people so I could get me some money to go study abroad. But it's the smallest thing. You'll be shocked how many people want to support you in what
yeah,
you're doing. Now be try to give quality product,
yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah, there's a lot of, and also we have social media these days too. Now I have yet to figure out ways to capitalize off trying to
yeah.
monetize on
Facts,
social media. So that's
facts.
something I'm trying to learn too.
But it's
But
possible. It's
the people
possible.
be making some coin, okay? Like
Yeah,
let's be
because you
clear.
think that your message has no meaning, but then you find 100,000 people that love it. You just have
Yep.
to put yourself out there,
Yeah, you do.
and then we
In
get
all ages, honestly.
yeah, all ages have the opportunity. So it's like
Yeah,
never
for
you can
sure.
never limit yourself when you got the internet. Ever.
Yeah, 100%.
That's like
Oh,
the
I know
main thing.
there's another book that somebody
Mhm.
that I know told me about. Well, not somebody I know, it was from class. I
Okay.
haven't read this one yet, but it's called The Little Book That I'm trying to type it in here. That Beats the Market. But they say it's like the guy breaks big terms in very simple format and just helps
Nice.
people understand the very basic things about finance and stuff.
Yeah.
I have to read it myself, but at least I could put it in the chat so people can tune like
Yeah, and
can
I think one last thing I want to say is that,
hmm
the tips that we are saying are, especially worldly and general, to help you start that journey. I think that
yes.
you should take the things that we said today, no matter of age, but then try to get it to a more professional standpoint.
Yes.
Ask financial advisors, ask your bank, or ask mentors who really know these things about financially putting your money in good places. But
hmm
I believe that the tips we gave today, the advice that we gave today will definitely help you spark, the
Yes.
mindset part and
Yes.
the steps to get to where you're trying to go for sure.
I agree with that. And if you're someone who on the other side who's listening to this and be like, girl, I already know that,
Yeah,
then please share it.
that's
Like,
true. True.
please share the knowledge. Please share the wealth. When you look at your life and you just only helped yourself, you should be ashamed. Like, just saying.
I'm dead.
You should really, it's beauty in being able to tell, like to give
Definitely.
knowledge to other people, because we've
Definitely.
all been in that situation before in
Hmm.
some capacity, whether it was for clothes or learn how to do your hair, whatever it is. Like someone had to tell you how to do something, so you want
Very
to
true.
be that for
Very true.
somebody else. So
That's a
but
fact.
yeah, so hopefully this time next year we'll be able to talk about what we've been able to accomplish
Facts.
financially,
Facts.
and just hope, yeah, what we've learned, what we've been able to figure out. I don't know. I definitely am in this mindset of wanting to just like live life comfortably, but what I deem as comfortable, if that makes it, like, because everyone has different ideas of what's financial freedom for them. For me, I'm trying to vacation. I'm trying to live in multiple places if possible. Like
Yeah,
there's just certain things.
experiences.
Yeah. So, but everyone's idea of that is different. So yeah,
Definitely.
it's one, figuring out what that is for you, and two, figuring out how you're going to accomplish it.
Yeah, yeah,
You're not going
sure.
to accomplish
I
it
guess
just sitting here, huh?
I guess that's the jump start for both of us. It's time.
Yeah, it's time. It's time. Like it's time. Just wait on it. Seriously. But yeah, do you have any other last thoughts
um,
you would like to give to the people?
just one last thought is I've been a victim of social media and materialistic things.
Mm,
Don't let materialistic
same.
things control you. I've been
Yeah.
controlled by materialistic things since I was in middle school. I'm trying to get out of that mindset where,
Yeah.
half of the money I make has to go to something. Why can't I just put it to save?
Yes.
So, not to ramble, but
Yeah.
don't be one of the social media merchants where you feel like you have to keep up with what's going on, because that's definitely me, you know. So
Yeah, that's a good point, man. And it's good to be transparent about that. Oh, and also just coming up, we have some great guests in the
oh
pipeline.
yes, for sure.
So we're excited for the month of May, and we appreciate y'all for being on this ride with us.
Yes,
And yeah, so I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their evening. Get
mm-mm,
some sun if you haven't already, period.
definitely.
And yeah, we will see y'all next week.
Next Tuesday, no more miss. Talk about it.
All righty. Well, we love y'all. We will see y'all next time.
Peace
Bye.
out.